All right, so everything on this worksheet, you know how to do. You haven't seen it quite in this format, so we need to go over a few things. But as I'm working through this, I hope your brain is thinking, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I know how to do that. Yep, we've done that, kind of. Probably the biggest thing, and you should just go ahead and write it at the top of your worksheet. What word do we want to tie with derivative the whole year long? Slope. Slope at a point if you really want to get specific. All right, so number one, let h of x equals f of x times g of x. I'm thinking product rule may be in our future here. Where the graphs of f and g are below. Evaluate h of negative 2 and h of 3. Basically, I'm going to do the first piece of a, b, and c, and we'll see where we are on time. So h of negative 2, well, it told me what h is. It's f of negative 2 times g of negative 2. Well, how am I supposed to know what f of negative 2 is? Well, how about we look at the graph? So here's the graph of f. What's f of negative 2? If the x value is negative 2, what's the y value? 1. It's just that point right there. And how about g of negative 2? 3. And so 1 times 3 is 3. Not really a big deal, but we don't spend a lot of time evaluating functions from graphs. Most of the time we're evaluating functions from equations. All right, estimate as opposed to evaluate. That must mean that our answer won't be exact. We'll see why that is in a minute. F prime at negative 2. Well, what does prime mean? Derivative, and what does derivative mean? Slope. So this really means find the slope of f at negative 2. I don't expect you to write that down every time, maybe not even one time. But I want you to see what the thought process is. So find the slope of f at negative 2. So over here at negative 2, I've got to draw a tangent line. Now I know why it says estimate, because who knows, maybe we have the same tangent line, maybe not exactly the same. So I sketch in a tangent line. Then again, maybe yours is, I don't know, steeper or less steep one way or the other. That's why it's an estimation. But I got lucky. I happened to draw one with a really nice slope here. It went right through that point, down 1 over 1. So that slope is negative 1. All right, for the others, slope of f at 3, slope of g at negative 2, slope of g at 3. But then it asked me to find h prime of negative 2. But h prime, I can't just do f prime times g prime. That's not how the product rule works. I've got to do fg prime plus gf prime. I'm just going to cheat and say all at x equals negative 2 rather than writing negative 2 4 different times. So I've got to go look at each piece and see, well, what's f of 2? What's the slope of g at negative 2? What's g at negative 2? What's f prime at negative 2? The good news is you've already found all those things. So by the time you get to part C, you should be able to look back and find all the pieces that you need to find or to figure out what h prime of negative 2 is. And again, it's an estimate because you're sketching a tangent line, and how accurate is it? We should be close, but it may not be perfect. All right, look at number 2. Evaluate h of negative 2. Well, h of negative 2 is f of g of negative 2. So first job is find g of negative 2. Well, I have a graph that can do that for me. G of negative 2 is up at 3. So f of 3. The only trick here is make sure you look at the right graph. Like, just don't get turned around. So the graph of f at 3 is, oh, that's kind of a weird spot. I guess it's a half. We'll call it a half. H prime, and then we'll be done for now. H prime, okay, this is going to be Tootsie Roll Pop situation. I got to work on the outside first. So f prime of g of x, chain rule, times g prime of x. So when it comes to negative 3, it means I got to do f prime of g of 3 times g prime of 3. So this gets a little bit tricky. G prime at 3, that's a slope. But g of 3, that's just a point. But then f prime is a slope. So there's a lot of pieces going on here. All of what you know how to do is just be careful. Are you looking at the point or the slope? And then are you looking at f or g? And how do you put the pieces together and then multiply? So a lot of stuff going on. Answers will be posted. And I think, let me say this now because this is going on the video. B, this one's 0. H of negative 3 ends up being 0. The answer key is wrong on that one, so go with 0. On the back, it's the same kind of stuff. It's just now instead of graphs, you've got tables. So like on number 3B, actually let's do 3C, because that's a quotient rule. Gf prime minus fg prime over g squared. But you got everything in the table. So go to the table, fill in the pieces, and just be careful. You know enough. Good luck. Check the review, or check the answers online. And I'll post videos of this answering some of these tomorrow.